What to do, snackers, snackettes, and snack X's? It's your boy Gage. I'm here with Sin and Jokes and Coop and Frosty. And you are now tuned in to the Loading Snacks Movie Club discussion of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. 25th anniversary edition, I imagine.
Yes.
Hercules. Frosty.
Yep.
You picked this film.
I did.
Let's talk about why.
Biggest reason, it introduces the boy. That's pretty much why. No, just kidding. And it's the 25th anniversary this month, so it just felt fitting.
I dig it. Darth Maul. It's an interesting character. We're going to talk about Maul clearly a little further on. Did you see this movie when it came to theaters, Frosty?
No, I wasn't heavily into Star Wars when these came out. I saw one of them. I think it was the second one in the theater, but it wasn't this one.
So I want to ask a very important question. Asin, you're excused from this question.
Okay.
For everyone else, I want to know the order in which you have seen the Star Wars movies. Coop, I'll start with you. What is the first Star Wars movie you ever saw? What up, Doc?
The first Star Wars movie I ever saw was A New Hope.
Okay, so episode 4
in my mind.
That's fine. That's episode 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Episode 4. Yes.
And then what?
Yeah.
Did you watch them in the order that they were released?
Yes, I guess I did. Technically, I did see 4, 5, 6 because my uncle was a fan. We saw those like whatever DVD or tape that was out, And then I went to the theaters to see 1, 2, 3.
Okay. We don't have to discuss anything further than that. Right now, we'll just act like those are the only 6 films there are for now.
Gotcha.
Jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Same for you?
Same for me.
See the original
4, 5,
trilogy
6.
before you saw these?
Original trilogy came first. Then the prequels I did see when they originally dropped in theaters for the first time.
Okay. So were you a Star Wars fan by the time you saw episode 1?
I would say I was a fan. I wouldn't say it was necessarily my number one go-to thing, but definitely was a fan though.
Okay. Frosty, do you recall the order in which you saw the Star Wars films? As when these came out, you were not a fan already. So did you watch them out of order?
I watched them 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Had you seen 4, 5, and 6 before you saw 1? 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sin, I already know the answer for you. That's why I didn't ask. I know you saw them in the order that they were released.
Yeah.
So, Frosty, did you become a fan prior to this movie? Prior to seeing this movie?
Yeah, I actually became a fan when I did. When I sat down and watched the original 3, so 4, 5, 6. And I remember like it kind of flipped a switch where I'd seen them before, but not really watched them.
Sure.
It was just kind of like, this is a huge thing, so you should watch these. And then at some point I decided I'm going to sit down and watch these again. And that's when it clicked. And then I was like, I got to go back and watch 1, 2, and 3 again now. And yeah.
Got it. So it was a revisit for you.
Yeah.
That kind of put you, okay. Um, where does this film sit for you, Frosty, in rankings of just the Star Wars films? And we'll do all of them, everything, Solo, like everything. Where
Okay.
does this film fit for you?
So I'll go ahead and say like A New Hope is actually my favorite because it brought me back into, or it brought me into the whole franchise, started the whole love. This is probably gonna be my third favorite
Okay.
after Rogue One. Rogue One was just so beautifully done that it's hard to beat that
Mhm.
I
one.
agree. I absolutely agree with that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree with that.
So, Coop, for you then, where do you rank this movie? And this is not, I'm not asking you for a score of what this movie is to you. I just want to know how it ranks for you. I think that, like, I do think that if you are a Star Wars fan, one, if you're not, you're probably not watching this. But I do think that where you rank these films as as they sit next to one another does have an effect on how you score
Mhm.
the film. And I think that counts because they are so intricately tied to one another. So,
Right.
where do you rank this movie amongst the rest of the Star Wars theatrical films? All of them.
I rank this one pretty high. If I had to give it a number like 1 out of 10, just a ranking, I would say like a 4. You know, top
Okay.
5. And I say that because although I did see the other Star Wars before the first three when it came out, this was like my introduction to Star Wars. Like this is like where I start, because I was in theaters
I
for
get it.
me and all that, So yeah, that's how I felt with this one.
But it's fourth for you.
Yeah, it would be like number 4. Yeah.
Okay. What's right ahead of it?
Right ahead of that
What's number
one,
3 for you?
um, number 3 would be A New Hope.
Okay.
Number 3 would be A New Hope. Number 2 will be Revenge of the Sith, and number 1 will be Rogue One.
It's a solid
Interesting.
ranking.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm not fighting that. Stan,
Yeah.
let's discuss, man. Where does episode 1 rank amongst Star Wars films for you?
I can agree with everybody. Rogue One is number one. So
Okay.
outside of that being number one, this
I
one
love
would
that.
be. I guess it starts at Rogue One. Then for me, it will be Return of the Jedi, uh, Empire Strikes Back. Well, no, not technically. Not technically. Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith, then Clone Wars, Empire Strikes Back, then A New Hope, and then Phantom Menace. Just kind
All
of
right.
reverse both of them. Like I like the
Yeah.
build up to the finales of each one of those stories. So those finales I hold high for me personally. But the starting points,
Mhm.
I would put those like at the lower end of it. So yeah.
Okay. Jokes, what about you?
For me, Phantom Menace would be number 2. Similar like what Coop said, like this was as much as I enjoyed the originals, going to see this in theaters and going from those type of like lightsaber duels that we saw in the first 3 to the choreography that they did with this was that kind of like ooh,
Hmm.
like that
Yeah.
really piqued my interest. Rogue One, I'm the same as everybody else. Rogue One is my number 1. Phantom Menace will be number 2. Revenge of the Sith 3. Then I'll go to the original trilogy with Return of the Jedi, and then from there probably A New Hope.
Okay. I
Okay.
All right, so here's the thing. Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars film. It's not the best. Rogue One is the best film,
Yes.
but Return of the Jedi is my favorite. It
Agreed.
just, but again, like the only one of these movies I did not see in the theater at release was was A New Hope, was
Same here.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Everything else I saw in the theater, but I couldn't say like I was a fan. I just was swept up in the like, bro, lightsabers are the coolest weapon ever created. That isn't a shotgun, kind of. So like, I was kind of in there. Perp said when it comes to episode 1, I skip all the way to the end every time. You know what, Perp? I'm not mad at that. We're gonna talk about that a little bit. I'm not mad at that. Now that we kind of have an idea of like where this film ranks, it's nobody's like number 1 in terms of Star Wars films. So let's talk about the film in and of itself. I think what I want to do first is I want to get like a favorite moment in the film from everybody. And I kind of want to dissect those moments before I go and get least favorite moments. Let me say right now, if y'all don't leave Jar Jar Binks alone, I don't want to hear.
Nobody said anything
Oh,
about him. Nobody said anything
I don't
about
want to
little Jar
hear.
Jar.
Leave him alone.
I don't have issues with Jar Jar Binks. That issue that everybody,
Empire, Revenge, and Last Jedi. I'm with that. The Last Jedi is your top.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
what,
that
Bert?
was a, yeah. You sit on the
But you know
sideline.
what though?
You sit on the sideline.
You
for a
know what
minute,
though?
Last Jedi.
Nah, you know what though? I'm actually not. I'm
Visually,
kinda
it was
not mad at
beautiful.
that.
Yeah, visually, it was beautiful.
But he's gonna
Star
skip
Wars
to
has
the end of episode 1.
correct. I mean, I'm just saying. Yeah, y'all leave Jar Jar alone, bro. All right, so look, Coop, I'm going to you first.
Okay.
What's your favorite moment from this movie?
It's the
Yikes.
fight scene. It's the Darth Maul fight scene. I mean,
Duel of the
very end.
Fates.
Duel of the Fates.
Mhm.
It's just
The second fight
Duel of
scene, not the
Fates,
first
yeah.
fight scene.
No, yeah, the second one.
Yeah.
Perp said I like the dark Star Wars movies. I'm not mad at that. Okay, not the first fight scene, not the one in the desert.
That
No,
one was actually kind of
it's the
clean
one-
though.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. All right. I think that's a good move. I think that's a good point. I have a feeling you're not going to be the only one whose favorite moment that is, but I'm going to tell you right now before we even go any further. Pod racing saved this movie.
Yes,
So good.
so good.
Pod racing.
Did you know that all those pod racers are real?
I do.
They
Mhm.
built
Yes.
all of those.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a look. Here's the thing.
There's a great documentary on YouTube. It's an hour long, free to watch, no ads.
It's also it's on Disney Plus. Like you can go in and watch it there as well. It's a very interesting documentary to watch. The pod racing, the sound of pod racing, bro, is
Sebulbas.
So his
God, that joint is like it's so right. Now, here's what I will say. It goes on for far too long. Pod racing joint.
I feel a little better now that somebody said it.
It should have been like
15
2 laps.
Should have been two
two
laps. No,
laps.
that
Two
third
laps.
lap was like, no, we could have
Like this is a real race that y'all are showing us. Like, come on now.
Yeah, bro. Like I'm not gonna watch NASCAR for 3 full circuits. Nah, we not doing that. Yeah, the Force and the Furious. Yeah, perp. I like it. I like it. It's an interesting and important piece of the storytelling necessary to build up who Anakin Skywalker is. Totally get it. Almost don't care. The look, the sound, the feel of pod racing. For real, almost the best Star Wars game ever released.
Woo.
Pod racing N64. I'm not even like I'm not
Right.
like I'm
Yeah.
on,
Hooked on-
the 64 was
like
crazy.
maybe until Knights of the Old
Rogue.
Republic.
Rogue Squadron was pretty solid.
Yeah, but it wasn't pod racing. Like, pod racing though. Like it just Rogue Squadron was dope. All those joints were
All of
good.
them
I
jokes.
Oh yeah,
could not
that
put
was
their foot in
fire.
all of those, but like,
Yeah,
but nah, bro. Like pod racing, like it just that's the thing that saves the movie for me. That's my favorite part of the movie. Jokes. What's your favorite part of this movie?
It's kind of the same like what Coop said. Like I'm trying. Let me. I
Mm.
think obviously that one probably is my number one, but one that I think was a little more stand out to me was when we found out Queen Amidala was actually
Oh, the swap.
Padme, the swap.
Yeah.
That was one where she just came forward and was like, "Hey, listen, that's not actually the queen. I'm the queen." And that was kind of like there was subtle hints or subtle things as we were going through the movie that alluded to it. And you honestly, you may not have really picked up on it that first watch through. But I think that was one of those
Yeah.
moments that was kind of just like, oh snap. And
When you
she
know it's clearly obviously less effective. Like when
uh-huh.
you know. So it's not as effective. But there are certainly things in there that like she says, like when she tells him, like you assume he's like the queen trusts me, so you should trust me. She's like, you assume too much. Like,
Too much.
Mhm.
you know, you might not even really remember to pick up on that by the time the switch happens later on. But when you're watching it after the fact and you're already aware,
Mhm.
then it kind of, you know what I mean? It that hits a little bit differently. Frosty, what's your favorite part?
The biggest part that gives me the goosebumps is, oh man, you guys are gonna, it's Groner when Maul steps forward in the hollow when they're talking to the Trade Federation.
Oh,
That
when he
first one,
first
he-
shows up, it's
it
like my
hits the
The first image, and yep.
yeah.
I was like, oh, I guess he's a threat.
Yep,
Perp
gives me
said favorite
goosebumps
part is
every
when
time.
Qui-Gon gets folded by Maul, only which plot armor didn't save Obi-Wan.
Damn.
We're gonna talk about that fight in a second. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna talk about that fight in a second. Frosty, I think that's a great moment. I do think that's a great moment because it is the true reveal, and it is like,
Darth Maul.
oh snap, there are two. Like,
Mhm.
whatever.
Mm.
In hindsight,
There's
it,
things that are previously alluded. I lost my internet.
oh well,
Uh-oh.
we have you.
You still
Like,
we got
can
you.
hear
We got you. It's
you.
slowly coming back. Yep, it came back. Uh-oh, but the audio
Um,
may not have.
It's in and out. But Sin,
Yeah.
favorite part of this movie?
Easily for me, it is yes at the end where they're having their lightsaber battle, but it is with Darth Maul pacing back and forth, wanting all the smoke. That was my favorite part. Him just staring them dead in their eyes,
Oh.
pacing back and forth, waiting for the barriers to open so he can get back to it.
Hey, can I tell you something though?
What?
I think that used to be my favorite part. And then, like, in recent years, I've realized Frosty about to be mad at me. He was fluke. Here's the thing. 1,000%, Qui-Gon was getting in his. Qui-Gon was putting the beating the brakes off him. Qui-Gon was bodying him by himself, one-on-one, up until that point. And then, like, I think the part you're talking about with him pacing,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like there's the anticipation of Obi-Wan being too far away, stuck like 4 barriers back. You know what I'm saying? Like, can I make it? Whatever. It's almost like he's angry because Qui-Gon is like, I'm about to just chill right here for a minute on my meditate. You know what I mean? Like, while you pace back and forth with all that energy, whatever.
So,
Yeah.
Darth
Go ahead.
Darth Maul has like an absolute controlling hatred of the Jedi. So every chance he gets to slaughter Jedi, like he's an impatient, like very violent person, so it's actually very fit. Like, it doesn't matter that Qui-Gon's just meditating.
Nah, I actually think it does matter because it would make him angrier. That a Jedi, like, if you look at
He's not
Obi-Wan,
thinking about that at all.
like Obi-Wan is angry. Like, he got bested. What up, Scheibel? He got bested, chucked off the side. It's hanging. It's not. It's the first time that happens, right? And he's like hanging, and he has to jump back up or whatever, and like rejoin the fight. So he already kind of got bodied a little bit. Now he's behind and he's running, but he's like angry in the moment while he's far back. The idea that like a Jedi would like sit down and meditate in his little Jedi ways, to me, would make Maul even more like, oh, I know this dude not. I know he's not meditating. I know he's not.
Before Qui-Gon starts meditating,
right? That's what I'm saying. Like, he's already that
already pacing, and then Qui-Gon's like, nope, I'm gonna chill.
Yeah, I just feel like that would make him even more like, oh, all right, I see what you
Qui-Gon. Like, you know what, all that meditating, I'm gonna body you the second.
Hey, listen, Maul was ready to jump through it. Like, he tested it with his saber and hit a little thing first. Like, okay, I can't move through that, because he was ready to just try to run straight through every last one of them.
Lucky this thing can't open.
I will tell you this: the worst part about that fight is that Obi-Wan doesn't make it in time. Exactly, John. That's exactly what I was going to say.
I was going to say.
Literally in the very beginning of the movie, they take off and are so far. Like,
so far.
And that smoke pops. They fight. The droidekas show up, and they are being like they burn. What happened to all of that?
You never see it again.
Never.
Yeah.
What happened to that? Like, again, here's the thing. Y'all know how I am, right? So, like, my suspension of disbelief only counts within the rules that you set. And in the rules that you set, hey, Qui-Gon, why didn't you just force push Darth Maul into that hole while he was pacing back and forth with his back to the hole the whole time? Like, this entire fight is not.
Hey,
really.
Listen, that was him when he was doing the meditating, him trying to get his energy bar back up. That's what he was trying to do.
I mean,
video game logic.
Video game logic.
It's a Jedi trick. That is a Jedi trick. Meditate to regain energy, composure, and all of that. Absolutely.
Yeah, just like you said, he should have force pushed him all the way away.
Yeah, I mean, look. Also, at the same time, right? Like, you can't. This is your introduction, not just to Maul, but for the most part to all of these characters, with the exception of Obi-Wan, right? So, like, you don't have what you currently know about Darth Maul to really place in position of like why he's being who he's being in that moment. You don't know that, right? The first time you're watching this, you're just like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Cool, he's angry. Let me just tell you something. He is the coolest looking, has the best
lightsaber.
And Ray Park put his foot in that whole thing. Like, it's but and you know, you got to bear in mind that we're coming from watching Jedis fight like Knights of the Round Table. Like, just kind of like bing, bing, bing. This is like, all right, let's put some actual martial arts into this and let's do, you know what I mean? Like, let's take it up a notch, right? And so it's cool to see. Still, I think 90% of the time when you're watching Jedi Force users fight each other, they're just wasting our time. Like, you are wasting my time. If you don't force push this dude against the wall, somebody force choke somebody, do something. Like, it's a little
force slap boxing, you know, behind them Jones.
And I honestly would have loved to have seen Darth Maul do more. Agreed. Right? He looks so menacing. He seems and feels so menacing. And his time is so short. Of course.
I know you want it in the movie, but
of course. But like, even that's like him in the animated series is super plot. Like,
What'd you
So you
say?
said they should have stretched him out through the trilogy.
I
Yeah.
mean, look, I I I would have liked
Had
to
to
have
read
seen
that in
him.
Palpatine's voice.
Did you ever hear the Legend of Darth Zubi?
Yeah, that was
Why did they kill him
the
all?
Legend of
Greg's
Darth
asking why did they
Zumi.
kill him all there? I mean, again, look, I do think
I think he
He's
was
it
not
would
dead.
have
done
been better to see
initially
He's
in the
him,
not dead.
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
all through at the same time. I like General Grievous a lot.
My guy.
I like General Grievous a lot.
Asthma included. I mess with him.
Asthma
That's my
included.
guy.
Bro,
Thank you, Mace Windu.
take the toe. I like Grievous a lot, bro. So like, you know, Maul again. I think hey, this movie has plot holes all in it,
Oh,
but um, but I'm with you saying like for anybody who picked this as their favorite part of the movie, I think is totally. I think that you're totally right. Right. I think that's a great move. You know, a great choice for a favorite part of the movie. Um, I don't like the way the fight ended.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that is my only problem.
I didn't like that at all. Cause I don't know, Obi-Wan was already hanging
I
off the
mean,
side of a platform. Like I'm like, what? We just did this. Like, why are we doing this again?
Why we running this back?
And then Maul's just like swinging a lightsaber at the top of the, just a swinging it. It just is very like, hey dog,
that was an
throw
easy
me
force push back down the hole.
just something.
Whoosh.
You know what I mean? Just kind of like give me. Again, a lot of times I just fail to see from a choreography standpoint, like where we pick and choose to actually use the force powers we already know they have.
Mm-hmm.
That's all
Mhm.
that's all I'm saying. Like, if it's
There's
me,
serious lack of force powers in this film.
100%. Cause I'm gonna tell you right now, if we're running out of the hangar and open the door and that dude's standing there, I'm gonna force shove the shot of Slim
Yeet.
and close
Screw
the
that. We closing the doors back. Oh,
door.
zoop. Yeah, we're not doing that today.
They just walk up. We got this, man.
No, you don't though.
Yeah.
Right.
Maul didn't care about the rest of them. He was like,
Yeah.
"You two, I want you two. Bring the smoke. Let's go."
Obviously,
Jedi.
and again, here's the thing.
Yeah, when you
There's a certain amount of anger you know that Maul has, but they never really explore it because Perp said Obi and Maul first fight could have ended in a draw. Rivalry could have continued. It's like I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
He specifically says we will finally get our revenge. Like he says
Mm-hmm.
to Palpatine, to the Emperor, like we will finally get our revenge. But they never tell you what that revenge is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like, all right, I don't know what you so mad about. So like you know what I mean? Within the context of this movie, like I forget it. That's like force you, dude.
Yeet.
100%, right? Frosty, what is your least favorite part of this movie?
When they kill Maul.
Okay. All right. I mean, again,
Well,
that's fair because a lot of people
Kill
just
Maul.
are right. I mean, are not happy with
Yeah.
the fact that it happened and the way that it happened. Like it just makes it seem too easy,
Yep.
you know, in the long run. Jokes, what about you?
Honestly, I don't think I have a least favorite moment of this movie.
Okay. Everything is it's all equal. It's all even to you.
I thoroughly enjoyed Phantom Menace from the beginning to the end. I can't think of a moment that I just nitpick. Probably, I think at that point it would have been me nitpicking at something than anything else. But
Oh, just give me a few minutes.
no, that's why I said it. But
I'm messing
other
with you.
than that, I really don't have any moments that I just didn't like.
Coop, what about you?
I kind of agree with jokes. This is, I mean, I
That
think
doesn't
it's more of
happen a lot.
not at all. It doesn't. But like I said, like this was like my beginning of Star Wars when I saw it in theaters. Like I know, like it was like, okay, I get to follow Anakin through this. Like, it just it felt like it was a perfect setup. It was a perfect setup for the next movies. I was so hyped for it. Like at the time, you couldn't tell me anything. Watching it again, Frosty, you put me down a crazy rabbit hole, but it was just like, it just kind of brought me back to that whole thing. And I do feel like this movie is in its own Star Wars way. It's kind of perfect
All right.
just for the setup,
Sin?
for the other movie.
For me, it was pod racing. Actually, for the exact statement, you said, it went on way too long. It went on way longer than it needed to go on, and that was my biggest thing. Like, why are we still here doing this? We could have condensed.
Well, you hate Tatooine.
Yeah,
I
so
do
I
hate
think that's
Tatooine.
just.
Yeah.
I just think that was the problem for him.
No, it was no. My hate was
Is it because
Tatooine.
there's so much sand?
So much sand.
My hate of Tatooine didn't start there. It came after when it kept going back to Tatooine. At that time, the hate wasn't there yet.
Right. Pod racing just took too long for you.
It just took too long. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
Well,
Look, I know that it's important to, I guess, the
here we go.
overall.
We
Here we
already
go.
said in the beginning.
Here we go.
No Jar Jar hate. We've already established that in the beginning, Greg.
We're not doing
Leave
that.
Jar Jar alone.
Yeah, leave Jar Jar be, man, because John, right there, bro.
Get the grapple guns.
Hey, dog, your ascension guns. Get your ascension guns.
Oh.
Hey, dog. Them windows ain't even have glass in them. I'm like, nah.
Hold up.
Like, bro.
Hold up. I hate y'all right now so much. I got to bring that up. Hold up. Oh, my gosh. Hold up. Oh, my gosh.
It's pretty terrible. And I'm kind of there with you. I'm not like, I'm honestly not a fan of the politics in Star Wars. I think it makes it boring. I understand that it is a part of the overarching story that's there, but I honestly believe that is so much of what Star Wars problem is. There's so much coolness going on. There's so much interesting stuff that's happened. There's so much lore and story to tell and so forth that bro, who's a chancellor and who's a senator and who has what planet, all of that stuff just makes me go, stop. Just say who's trying to kill who and who's bad. And I'm like, I take an intricate plot all day long, right? But I think if you ask a lot of people, let me not say a lot of people, I think if you ask a casual watcher, right, what is the Trade Federation and who runs it and when did they make a deal? How come they're just invading this planet? What is for real? All of that political stuff leads me to be like, hey dog, but the guns got a whole army. So why did they run and hide?
You know what? That was one of the things I did not like a movie when I first saw it years ago in the theater. I was thinking going into episode 1, this is going to take us back to the beginning. I'm going to get to learn about the Jedis and that kind of stuff going into it. And then it starts, it's like, no, you're just going a few years beforehand. You're not going to learn any of that type of stuff. You're not going to learn why things are set up the way they are, nothing like that. You're just going to jump into the story at this point and just go forward. So,
all right, look. I'm going to tell you why I said leave Jar Jar alone. Because the worst thing about this movie, in my opinion, is Samuel L. Jackson. He's terrible in this. I like Samuel L. Jackson as an actor, but Samuel L. Jackson attempting to sound like he belongs in Star Wars is trash. He looks and sounds like he has no idea what's actually going on. And he's supposed to sound like he knows everything about what's going on. And mostly he's just a jerk in the joint. And I'm just like, I really could have almost anybody else. I feel like could have done that role more justice, literally just sitting down next to a fake Yoda. As a matter of fact, when he did it, a puppet Yoda. Like, it just doesn't work for me at all. Listening to him talk takes me completely out of the entire, like, it takes me out. I'm like, I don't want you here. I don't want you here at all. I want like Courtney B. Vance. Give me him. You know what I'm saying? Give me Idris Elba. Give me like anybody else who may have sounded like they belong there. He doesn't sound like he belongs there, and he can't act like he belongs there. It's terrible. So like, what I love about Mace Windu has nothing to do with Samuel L. Jackson.
That came from the Cartoon Network Clone Wars.
It absolutely
did. Yeah, that's where it came from.
Yeah.
And the purple lightsaber. That's it.
True. I can agree with you. Watch this again. When I heard him talk, I was a little throwback. Like, that's how he sounded. Like,
bro, I never liked it. I
didn't catch it till this time around.
I want to keep it a buck. There were no black Jedis.
Nope.
So we gave him a pass. And I'm just going to keep it a buck. Like, we gave it a pass. Like, all right.
Like
you know what I'm saying?
And he had a different lightsaber, had the purple joint. Like, okay.
You know as well as I do, bro. If you put Samuel L. Jackson in something and he's not loud and cursing, we not for it. That's just not really. You know what I'm saying?
No lies told.
I'm not saying he's not a great actor. I'm saying that he's a very great, mostly typecast actor that does pretty good.
Hey, Mace Windu would have been just putting hands. He'd have just been putting hands on people. Forget the purple lightsaber. He'd have just been putting hands on everybody.
And that would have been great.
Yeah, that would
Mace, use your lightsaber.
Here's the thing. I don't know that Michael Jai White would have been a great Mace Windu in this movie, sitting in a seat next to Yoda. I cannot get Michael Jai White does not have those acting chops either.
He needs these.
I want the man who played Heimdall. That's who I want. I want the man who played Heimdall.
Sprinkle a little accent on it, you know.
What?
Help sell it.
It would have been so great. But
I just have this picture in my head of Gage. I just have a picture in my head of Gage casting Mace Windu. And Samuel Jackson walks in. He was like, "No, get out of here."
1,000,000%. Bro.
He'd have peeped this shit.
Let his black ass in here. No,
there's not an M in this movie anywhere. Why are you here?
You know this calls for no cursing, right?
You probably asked the question. So where do I get to drop the F-bomb at, sir? You do not get to drop the F-bomb. The fuck you mean I can't drop an F-bomb in this movie?
Now I would have taken a Keith David. He's got the voice. He could have done it.
Been great voiceover wise, like an animated voiceover wise.
He could have been Samuel L. Jackson with his voice. With Keith I'd have been all in.
So disrespectful.
It really does. Again, at this point, technically, it's like Mace Windu is not important. Because at this point, like, nobody really knows who he is.
Yeah.
Like, most of the people that show up on the Jedi Council, like, we don't know who they are, except for Yoda. For most people. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, you know, whatever. They also, I think my biggest issue with this movie is how oblivious the Jedi Council is. Yeah, Idris Elba for a future Jedi or Sith, I'll be with it.
Either or.
The Jedi Council is oblivious.
100%. They have been blinded by their own hubris.
100, yeah. Like, my man said, a Sith, impossible. The Sith, they've been gone for 1,000,000 years.
Like, clearly,
it's not just one. It's two. If you don't believe one, there's two of them.
The rule of two.
They didn't believe Yoda.
He contradicted himself so many times. Yeah, but nobody listened to Yoda anyway. Yoda didn't even listen to Yoda. He was like, that boy cannot be a Jedi. But all right.
But all right, whatever.
Like, really? You let him train the boy.
You were adamant as hell 30 minutes ago. Now it's like, fine, whatever, do what you want.
Hey, listen.
Hey, bro, have you ever seen Yoda put that daggone walking stick down so hard? He was like, he cannot.
He was stomping that joke. He was pissed off.
He must have a date with Yaddle in a minute. Like, I got things to do, bro.
It's like he talking to that one child that's just hard-headed and won't listen. He just can't get
You will not train the boy.
Yeah, like.
Look, I got things to do. Go ahead and train them. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm too old for this shit.
I will.
Sorry. Today, if something go wrong, it's your fault.
Tina's Danny Glover fan.
I mean, look, I get it, right? Like, he knew he was going to get trained anyway, right? Like, he's going to get trained anyway because Obi-Wan was going to defy the council and so was Qui-Gon. They were going to train him regardless. Yep. So it was going to happen. Maybe there was like a better for us to know what's going on with him and be able to kind of keep an eye on that training and kind of see what's happening with him than to let you go off somewhere and do it without some sort of oversight from the council. I can kind of understand a decision being made like that by somebody like Yoda, who really is like, has a very high trust in the Force and just like, man, something ain't right. But you know what? Since you're going to do it anyway, better to keep it in-house than to have it happening somewhere off-site. And there's a part of me that honestly believes, right, that if not for the war itself, Anakin never flips. That, like, the pieces of the puzzle that were out of control for the Jedi and the Council, again, they're hubris, Order 66, all of that. Like, it never... Maybe, just maybe, because they kind of kept him close, they may have been able to prevent it from happening. But because of the way things happen, and now you're sending him off to just go do things on his own. And again, he has to be like all those things that happen in the long run. Maybe they would have been able to prevent it. For the purposes of this movie, that boy ain't right, and you know it. Nobody care about his midichlorian count. Nobody except Qui-Gon.
Mm-hmm. I need it.
Straight up pulled a Dragon Ball on him. My man was like, it's over 20,000. Yoda doesn't even have that. Yoda was like, that boy stronger than me. He got
You ain't training that boy. Get that boy out of here.
Nah.
You said 20,000? Get that boy out of here.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know. There's a whole... That whole idea of, like, we sense much fear in you. There's a lot of fear. You too worried about your mother. Like, you see, like, all of those things. And then them just kind of, like, being like, nah, it's cool. Just feels like plot armor for me. Just like, well, we know where we have to go with this story. So let's just figure out how to just make it happen. You know what I mean? Anyway. And, like, truthfully, all of that. Qui-Gon dying probably shouldn't have happened. When you know, like, again, maybe it shouldn't have happened until the second film. You know, or something like that. Like, I feel like I would have liked to have seen Qui-Gon do some actual training of Anakin first, and then something happened to him again. Darth Maul makes it to the second movie. We lose him in that movie or something like that. And now we're kind of forced to see that happen. This movie's long. It's over 2 hours long. They cut a lot of stuff from it. Including, like,
ain't no live at all.
This dude Darth Maul just showed up on the Darth cycle in the desert out of nowhere.
He pulled up ready.
Ain't nobody.
I mean, listen.
I have to show you guys this toy. What's that?
Okay.
You gotta do a pretty tang? Like,
yeah,
wait, bro.
Like, what fucking pop you got?
Hey,
right,
listen.
exactly.
When Maul was, sent out those the droid, the flying droid things to keep track. I loved how subtly, they just randomly like showed up in scenes as like when Qui-Gon was talking to what's his name, Watto, and then just like subtly.
It's the Darth cycle. It's the Maul-mobile. Bro, my man rode that joint, slammed off a cliff. Got on that joint and drove it off a cliff.
He came
I'm
ready.
gonna get these guys right.
He was
He
ready.
was ready.
Right.
It's going down.
Anakin,
Qui-Gon
go.
talk. So Qui-Gon talk. Anakin, get your ass on that ship.
You know,
Tell them to take off.
There's a deleted scene where Qui-Gon does actually notice those like following them, and he turns around and he, cuts one. So that's clearly before Darth Maul shows up chasing him in the desert.
Mhm.
But the way the film is cut, it just kind of happens. Like he just shows up, and now we're in a
thought that
fight.
was
And
weird.
then
Now we here.
my man just power jumps into the ship. By the way,
Accuracy.
I know that people have. I know how people feel about like the Millennium Falcon and all that. Hey, dog, that Naboo Royal joint is. I think that's my favorite
It was shiny.
joint in Star Wars. Period.
It was
Like,
shiny.
It was shiny.
it's just, it's so sleek, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
So clean.
It's
With the chrome
so
custom job on it. Yeah,
clean.
chrome custom painted job. Yeah.
yeah.
Custom.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that thing show up looking like camouflage. Just
Straight out
can't
of
see
Los
nothing but
Santos
stuff.
Customs. Yeah.
look, bro. Listen, I don't know.
Got that silver
I don't
pearl
know. I
finish
don't know
on
what they
it.
shine that thing with. You know what I mean? But they shine that thing up. Man, it's like a Cadillac. It's like a just a.
Mhm.
That's just a.
Yeah.
I like that, man.
It's a Bentley.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, bro. Yeah. Look, I mean, we do a lot in this movie to establish who Anakin is, and they do a lot of callbacks to A New Hope, right? In terms of like just piloting ability, pod racing being again one of those things where again it takes too long when we need to establish what he's capable of, and that what he's doing is beyond what other humans can do. Right? Nobody else can pod race. No other humans can pod race. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Immaculate Conception thing. I never liked that about this movie.
Yeah.
I hate. And you know what? I think you just got.
I'm not a fan of it.
There was no father. The hell you mean there was no father?
Because Anakin is Jesus.
Anakin is cheap.
You just look at her like, what you mean there's no what? So just magically.
Yes. Man, I don't.
I'm gonna be quiet on this one.
Isn't he? Isn't that the point? Cool.
I mean, they do Messiah.
He is the chosen one, burst out of the Immaculate Conception.
You were supposed to be the chosen one. Join the Sith, not the
look how that turned out.
You're getting way too ahead of yourself.
Yeah, I mean,
it's one of my favorite shows, though.
There are moments that I do kind of appreciate where it's like, chosen one or not, slim you out the box. Like, you gotta go. They literally was like, chosen one or not, nah, he not coming in here. That seems weird. If your prophecy is that the chosen one is supposed to bring balance to the Force, and I kind of want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. They talk about the chosen one bringing balance to the Force. And in my estimation, at the time and point this movie takes place, the Force is clearly out of balance.
It's already
the good side of the Force, the light side of the Force, is way heavier and way more powerful than the dark side of the Force. Way more.
Yeah.
So technically, by the time he did balance out the Force.
Well, nah, but then it like, what's up, Travis? It flips the other way, right? Like, I don't. He has a family line that eventually brings, I think, some sort of a balance to the Force, but we never really see the Force come into balance at all. Like throughout the entire Skywalker saga, the Force is never really in balance. I honestly think that the Force is just now getting ready to find balance in like the Gray Jedi kind of thing and all of that stuff happening like down the road. It doesn't happen at all during this. Like it is one way.
Oh no.
Frosty said unfairly. My PC suddenly won't connect to the internet. Use your phone.
I guess that was the Force balancing
Yeah.
itself out.
Yeah, like
Damn.
so it does make me feel like Andrew said theory Palpatine made Anakin do the Force in his mom. I've heard that.
Mhm.
I don't like it.
And I kind of agree with that because although I want to say as a kid I looked at this movie as like I guess the rise of Darth Vader, but this is also like kind of the rise of Palpatine too because he manipulates so much.
Yeah.
Even though it's
For
still
sure.
leaning, but he just kind of like just pushes it over the edge. You know, Palpatine manipulates a lot in these movies. You know,
Definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
that's his role. So it's definitely his rise to power for sure.
Mhm.
Right. And him having these Sith Lords that are under him. And they like, bro, the rule of two is broken. Like that's just a lie.
It's a lie.
It's
It's
a
a lie.
lie, bro. Slim got it's Sith. They're everywhere, dog.
Yeah.
Just get rid of the rule of two and just
You can't like there can't be a rule of two, dog, because every time one goes, there's already another one. So like, how can there already be another one
They
if
show
there
up in all
wasn't?
black with a red lightsaber. Like, what's up? Tag me in. I'm
I'm
ready.
ready. I'm ready to go.
Who did that?
To go. Yeah.
Like, here's the thing.
There we
This
go.
movie does a lot of things that I feel like are supposed to be. Welcome back.
Thanks. I have no idea what's happening.
Hey, she
This
force choked that
stormy
internet.
stuff
Let
happening.
me back in.
Yeah, like I just think that there are a lot of things that this movie has the unfortunate position of having to make what happened in the first trilogy and like the tales they tell. This movie has to live within the realm of those things.
Mhm.
And so, like, again, the Sith rule of two, dumbest thing I ever heard. It's not a real thing. It's not true. There's always more than two. Always. Clearly. Right? And there is no, like, if Anakin was the chosen one, no, he does not bring balance to the Force. And to be balanced, they'd have to be on even playing fields, and that never happens. You know what I mean? Like, clearly it's unbalanced because, again, the light side is much stronger at this point than the dark side is. The dark side is on a rise, but as soon as they go up, it's a seesaw. Like, they go up and they just stay up.
So,
You know what I mean? And like,
so would you say bringing Anakin in was a desperate move? It was like, look, we need something. All right, bring this kid in. We need something going on right now because we not.
well, I mean, look, I think it's even with like what Andrew's saying, like the theory that Palpatine has something to do with like forcing the midichlorians to form a child inside the womb of Shmi, which again is like that's way too forward thinking. Like if you could go down, if you could go to Tatooine as the Emperor and
Spray with some
fake
midichlorians on the
make a
moon.
slave girl, yeah, just swirl the
Seasoning.
midichlorians and this slave girl on
Hey,
Tatooine.
just sit there, baby.
You would never let that
Like,
kid
girl, I got
become a
this.
slave. You would never you would just go get him. So that's clearly not. You would just be like, yo, this is, it's a dude who eventually cloned himself, like had the most contingency plans on contingency plans.
Mhm.
So like, nah, he's not going down. If he did that, there's way more Anakins running around than that one.
Mhm.
And if that's the case, that ain't fatherless. My man Palpatine's getting down.
Yeah, he
Somewhere.
was.
Show.
My man was on Tatooine making bet and winning bet.
You
Bro. Like,
are the father.
there's no way. Like, he goes down and he talks to a hut and he's like, yo, I'm trying to get that slave girl right there.
Right there.
I bet you,
win on that?
I bet you Sebulba gonna win this race.
I bet you I can get her.
Anakin.
I
I
bet
get
you
the
that.
love for
you never
Palpatine, season 1.
Exactly, bro. Like, I just,
Coming to you on VH1.
Oh, the contest of getting this lovely lady to be the
Oh man.
bearer of your child.
Here's what I'll say. I think they do an incredible job of establishing Padme / Queen Amidala. Even though she's a pedophile, like they do a great job of like.
Oh, this is episode 2 right now. Oh my gosh.
Are we?
She's
Are we not?
14 and she's supposed to be 14 in this movie.
Kiss my ass.
No.
Yes,
No.
that is how old she is in this movie. And then they
Yeah.
don't see each other for another 8 years. At that point, he's 18. So
She's
while
scratching
it
her
Well, here's the
eyes.
thing.
She
Here's
was
the
giving
thing.
him the eye in the mid.
Originally,
What?
100%. But here's the thing. Originally, right? Originally, he was supposed to be 12.
So they
So
made him 9?
They made him 8. Originally, he was supposed to be 12, which would have put them like 2 years apart,
Right.
which
Thought
would
he
have
was
made a
10.
lot more sense.
A lot
for,
more
like,
sense.
their-
Yeah.
wasn't he 10?
No, he's 8.
Oh God.
Uh,
Let me pull
he's
it. I
8.
need to pull this out.
This is
Hey,
bad.
Rainer.
And it's
According to the
10
behind the
years
scenes
later.
documentary, that's free on YouTube because I watched it too. They say that like originally he was supposed to be 12, and as they started
I
trying
missed
out
that.
actors and stuff like that, they made him younger. Like they aged him
Batman.
down, and they specifically said that they did that because the loss of his mother. They wanted the loss of his mother to affect him more, and they felt like if he was older, if he was
It
already like
wouldn't.
12 when he left, it wouldn't have been the same. So they aged him down, and so that's kind of what does that in that
I
in that
missed-
space.
I missed
They
that
said,
whole
they said
part,
he
I
was
guess.
9 years old,
Yeah. So
They
see,
made her the most toxic person in Star Wars.
and she was 5 years older.
I mean,
She's
look,
only
to be
5 years
honest with you,
older than him.
yeah, it's really not that bad.
Uh,
But like in the
Appearance-wise.
yeah, I mean, look in the grand scheme of things, it does look way worse than it actually is. Like, you know what I mean? Because they just don't do a great job of establishing their ages for real
Yeah.
for the viewers. And you just know, like, you already know it's forbidden. So the fact that it's forbidden and they're doing it anyway, and there's the age gap makes it seem worse. And so you just kind of don't even, you know what I mean? Like, you don't really work to justify it. So, like, it is what it is. But I do think, again, they do a great job of, like, establishing her as a person and who she is, and in terms of, like, how much Leia is like her in this movie. She is a fighter. Like, the whole thing of, like, no, if my people are dying, I'm gonna go die with my people. I'm not gonna be up here playing with the senators and all that.
mhm.
Andrew said, "Did you ever see the deleted scene where Anakin is beating up Greedo when they were kids?" I have seen it. And you know, Greedo deserved to get shot first. He's a he's a terrible kid. Yeah, like I do think they do a great job of establishing that because those are things that are important for people who have seen, you know, the original trilogy, right? And knowing who Leia is, even though
Mhm.
at this point, you know, look, there are a lot of people who had no idea where this story is actually going at the time this movie comes out,
Mhm.
right? So, like, there are people who don't, like, they hear Anakin Skywalker and they're like, Skywalker? Huh. You know what I mean? And they don't know what it's going to be. So, you have to kind of try to keep that in mind for, like, the way this is being written and what it really means at the time that it comes out. Like, now it's so common knowledge that, oh no, that kid's Vader. But like, you don't, like, most people had no idea that that's what this was. The only person they knew was Obi-Wan,
Obi-Wan.
R2D2, and C3PO. That's it. Everybody and Yoda. And Yoda, right? Now, the Emperor,
And it's funny
that's
you
it.
say that,
Everybody
Gage,
else is
too, because
basically brand new.
it's funny you say that, Gage, too, because I remember getting a poster. It was like Anakin walking, and his shadow was Vader, and
Mhm.
that's when I was like, oh, that's what this movie's about. Like that's what
Right.
it was. So,
Right. Which I think is part of what gave this movie a certain level of cool factor, because you really are like, dog, how is this little boy gonna turn into the scourge of the universe?
Right.
How is that gonna happen? What could they possibly do to this child?
Put Padme with him.
Ruined him.
That's it.
Gave him that tang.
What?
You know what I'm saying?
She put it on.
You know what? I'll be honest, man. If it wasn't her, it was gonna be somebody else. It wasn't. It didn't really matter that it was her. You know what I mean? I think they did a really good job establishing that. I think that the kid who plays Anakin is terrible.
Absolutely.
I just didn't. I didn't like him then. I don't like him now. Things have not turned out well for him, so I'm not trying to put that like as an actor, as a person in real life. Like things have not turned out real well for him. Yeah. But I didn't feel it. I didn't like him then. I didn't like Hayden Christensen either though. So like whatever.
You like Anakin.
A lot of people have a problem with Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it was his fault.
I'm not
right. Like I think he did what the story was, but that's again, that's a different thing.
Would you say that these are a lot of these, because a lot of these actors, well, except for Anakin, a lot of these actors are like big name actors now. Like, would you say that this was their biggest film at the time for someone like? No.
I would say, here's the thing. So Natalie Portman was already well known. She got pulled into this because of Leon the Professional.
Great movie, by the way.
One of my favorite movies.
Liam Neeson.
Keira Knightley, nobody knew who she was. So like, people who still don't know this.
Yep. And she's not in until one of the later ones, but yeah.
Liam Neeson.
Keira Knightley.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
It's Keira Knightley, and there's I can never remember her name, but she's like a comedian actress. She's a comedic actress now, but I can't remember her name.
What else is she in?
She's in Bridesmaids and X-Men.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about.
The new ones.
X-Men, the First Class. She was her and Professor X had a little thing for each other.
Yeah.
Her race yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
She played Moira McTaggart.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know her name.
I know. But she is in it at one point too, as one of the handmaids.
I think in terms of like, so a lot of these actors and actresses were well known material in their own countries. I think this made them international superstars. Like I like Liam Neeson was already acting and was really well known already, but not here. And Ewan was the same way. Like people knew who he was, but not here. Like he wasn't a big name here. So yes, I would say that these films put them on that way. They were easily the biggest film that they did, just like the MCU was for a lot of people. Like it's not like people didn't know who Scarlett Johansson was, but nobody really cared. You know what I'm saying? Like Chris Evans, like nobody really cared. You know what I mean? So like these movies definitely put these people, probably the most well-known actor here at the time was probably Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel Jackson, yeah.
Which is disgusting to think about. For real. When you think about just, again,
thanks to him, we have purple lightsabers.
You're right, but no. I will not give him that. I will give Mace Windu that credit. I will give the editor in the room who was like, what would be cool would be if this joint was purple. I'll give them that credit. I'm not giving Sam
I believe Samuel Jackson is actually the one that requested. I've seen
because he wears purple everything, something like that, but
then they just had to make up lore around it. Like you can't just
It's legitimate lore now, and it's good lore. Like the story behind Purple now is actually really good.
No, I agree, but but what does that make him? It makes his position so questionable.
Mm-hmm.
What is he?
It does, absolutely.
Right?
I would love to
What is
get
he
more
doing
about
sitting on the
that,
Jedi
but
Council? Is he light? Is he dark? Why does he have both crystals? Making it like, what are you
he's the
talking
one
about?
that when we need to pull out, like, say, hey, Mace, we need to do that thing that none of us can do. We need you to go handle that business. Oh, you want me to go kill this dude? All right, let's go.
Hey, look. Mike says because Samuel L. Jackson knows what's up. Purple isn't that big color. I mean, it is the color of royalty.
That it is.
I will give that. But it's not green.
He definitely yelled at somebody in the studio to get that color going.
I
don't think
want
he
a
had
mother
any,
with purple lightsaber. Come on, man.
Didn't he have that engraved to it? I feel like he had motherfucker lists. Like,
certainly hope so.
It need to be.
That'd be crazy.
My
This is my motherfucking lightsaber.
yeah. I can appreciate the establishment of the Gungans, regardless of how you feel about Jar Jar. I love that E.T.'s race is in this movie.
Yes.
That's incredible. You know, again, the politics, I could do without it. I don't need any of it. I don't really want to like all that kind of going in. It's a super cool looking layout, the way the Senate is and how it looks. It's like Cerebro, but with a bunch of chairs.
Hey,
And
literally.
like they just, like it's cool. But I don't.
Nah, we're gonna go without it. Yeah.
We just.
All the
What I think what we
stuff.
should do is have a vote of no confidence in the chancellor. What? Why? Just. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it just.
The Senate.
no,
100%.
no.
Yeah.
Travis says Phantom Menace has grown on me a lot into adulthood. I actually put it above Empire Strikes Back. Now you want to fight? Nah. To be honest with you, here's the thing. Empire Strikes Back was a good movie. It was. This is a better movie than that is. The first, to be honest, the first three films are pretty boring in the grand scheme of things. Like just watching them, A New Hope is very slow. It starts off very slow. It's a really slow walk. But again, they're trying to like introduce everything to you and help you understand. And like when this comes out, you kind of already know what's going on. Like there's not, you don't need like you don't have somebody telling you, oh, this is a lightsaber. It's from this. And it was the weapon of choice of the, like, you don't have like the disposition, like people are not giving you that.
Mm-hmm.
So like, Obi-Wan dies in the worst way in those movies. Like it's the worst.
Back to
turns in the laundry. Yeah, turn in dirty laundry. That's it.
They just come on, man, get out of here with that. Again, we do a really good job, I think, of establishing these characters and who they are, why they're important to each other, and what it should mean going forward. You know what I mean? And like how it's going to play out in the long run. Does it hold up though? Is the question. And I think the answer for everybody mostly is yeah. Mm-hmm. Just because of where it's sitting in the pantheon of like Star Wars films. That's why I asked that question first. Like, where do you rank this movie among the other Star Wars films? And when most people are like, nah, Rogue One is the joint. Well, you're right. Rogue One is just, it's great storytelling if you have no idea what's going on.
Absolutely.
If you have no idea what they're actually getting ready to do, like it's a great story. It's like telling any war story that starts in the middle of the war. We're not telling you why the war is happening. We don't tell you where it started. We just know this is what we're trying to do. And this is what we have to do to get there. And that's why it carries forward. This movie, I feel like, could use a little bit more of that. There's a lot of like trying to walk you into what this is. And it's a great number of years between Return of the Jedi and when this movie came out.
Mhm.
And so you do kind of have to reestablish for people who are lapsed or who never heard of it or who just don't really know. You do kind of have to reintroduce all of this to them. So for me, there are pieces of it that I think maybe are a little more boring. And we could have like not had to. I mean, Rogue One is the greatest because Donnie Yen is in the end of the story. I mean, I won't argue that. Yeah, I won't argue that.
That whole like a
I could argue
blindfold. Are
that.
you kidding me? I'm blind.
Hmm?
So good.
So good. Yeah, I mean, Sin,
Yes, sir.
what's your score for this movie?
7.
Okay. Jokes?
9.
Okay. Coop?
9.
Huh. Frosty?
9.5.
10. Nope.
Hey, listen, again, everybody, I think this movie is like a 7 at best.
It loses that half point because they killed Maul.
They killed Maul?
Uh,
Because they fake killed Maul?
Yep.
But I mean, shouldn't it get
Here's
back
a,
since of the events of Rebels? Shouldn't you be able to give them that half a point back?
I had to wait years
that
to
doesn't
get
count.
additional Maul content.
Here's the thing. Darth Maul is probably was probably the best Star Wars character ever. Just off appearance. Just like everybody was like, yo, because I keep it a buck. Like Darth Vader. I mean, I guess Darth Vader was scary at one point. But Darth Maul is the beginning of them actually allowing the Sith to look menacing. He is the start of it all. Everybody that's comes like I love Ventress, but like if there's no Darth Maul, you don't ever get a Ventress. Like you don't get that, like just that look in their eyes, that kind of like that pale, really angry kind of like, Darth Vader's like a tortured soul who's just like, who has like mommy issues and whatever, right? Like, and daddy issues.
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of whiny. He's a brat with a lot of power. He's a Nepo baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Darth
can see that.
Maul
And
is
then you
like,
say he was about that. Darth Maul's about that.
here's the thing. I don't even know if I could say that. The thing about Darth Maul is that just by his design and his skill, like his fighting skill, there's like a lore that rose around, like everybody just wanted more of that. Like when he died at the end of this movie, I was like, oh, he coming back in the next joint. Like I just knew it. I knew it because he didn't get to say anything.
no.
He didn't even really get to do anything. He shows up
I
as
remember.
a quick skirmish, and then at the end, he has what honestly, for all intents and purposes, at that time, was one of the best fights that had ever been done on screen that wasn't in a kung fu flick.
Mhm.
Because I come from that. So, like, if you can get me, like, if I'm watching Star Wars, I'm like, yo, they're fighting, bro. Like, this is what I want to see. Like, in hindsight, I want to give that credit to Ray Park. I can't really give that credit to Darth Maul. However, the fact that, like, they had to bring Darth Maul back because everybody like, people just wanted more. And anybody will tell you, like, yo, that's crazy they got rid of Slim so quick. And then they never
went
again,
back
I
and touched
love
on.
Yeah.
I love General Grievous. I think General Grievous is the best villain in Star Wars. I really do. But that's only because Darth Maul didn't get to hang around.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. If Maul had been around, like there was a part
You
where I was
gotta-
like, yo, I'm not even
Clone
lying.
Wars, like watching the shows, it gives you a completely different picture of both characters of Maul and Grievous.
Yeah,
I
100%.
actually had
Kenobi.
I took a couple people to see this in the theater when they did the re-release earlier this month, and one of them had never seen it, and they go, "Is there more Darth Maul? Because like, why do you love him so much?"
And here's the thing. They're
That's what
so
your
right.
boy Maul did. Why do
They're
you love this
so
guy?
right. Because here's the thing. It is 1000% understandably questionable why not just you, but so many people, like why there are so many toys, so many dolls, so many figures, so much artwork around a character that literally is on screen for like 7 minutes. And that's it. You don't get anything else. You get no more. There's just something about the mystery around the character that I think is what really brought people in. So it's like I wanted him to be the Vader. And in the second movie, when Grievous shows up, I'm like, oh, they fished my man Maul out of a hole and put a whole bunch of robotics on him. They fixed him up and made him into
In a way,
they made him into RoboCop. Like they just RoboCopped him.
he ends up half Robo.
He does,
Yeah.
which again is like, in this movie he gets done dirty.
Dirty.
And it's
I
weird that
do
people
agree
feel
with
that way because he's the bad guy.
True.
I
And
think when you have
nobody
someone
cares about
like-
Sidious. What's up, Coop?
I think when you have someone like Darth Vader, who is such an epic villain, and then you're introducing a new saga of Star Wars, and you make this kind of like the main guy, the new villain guy in a way. Not only does he look cool, he has a double saber. You know what I'm saying? There's so much hype around it that it's like, how do you not continue it?
It was a
That's-
mistake.
I
Absolutely.
It was a mistake, but it's also honestly part of why this movie is a 7 for me.
Mm.
Because mistakes were made. Like I can't go into my head and be like, oh man, but Darth Maul turns out to be so. In this movie, no sir.
Mm.
He everything that it feels like they're establishing with him just goes away.
Yeah, about
You know what
that
I'm saying? And like
revenge.
at the end of the movie, you're like, all right, well, that's it for him. My man fell into the bottomless. They got a lot of bottomless pits in Star Wars, bro. I don't know.
There's multiple in each movie. It's ridiculous.
The bottomless pits in Star Wars, bro. Like they're lore, dog. Like
There should be a trope behind that. It's like, oh,
There's
another bottomless
There's a
hole.
robot chicken joke where it's like bodies just keep falling from the pit, and Maul fell from the pit, and then the janitor just sweeping up bodies.
it's a whole thing, bro. Like it just again. I honestly believe they wasted Qui-Gon. I believe they wasted Maul. The midichlorians things is dumb, but like I don't even really care about that so much. I don't think they picked a good actor for Anakin. I'm willing to give some space to Samuel L. Jackson because that was just like it's got to be like a phone call. Like, hey, dog, I got this. Hey, listen, bro, it'll be so dope if you get to be a Jedi. Like it just for all like again, like when I watch it now and I see all the people sitting on the council, and I recognize people, Plo Koon, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and like I know who they are now. At that point, they're just people sitting on the council. You're like,
at that point,
right.
It was just having more Jedi. It was just saying, oh God, there's a council of Jedi here.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
That's so.
Did you see Plo Koon in the Acolyte stuff?
I'm excited. I'm ready. Like next week. So ready.
damn, that is next
Um,
week.
Hey, you know what, Frosty, you might have to sit in on Spoiler Boys for the Acolyte with us. We'll talk about that.
We're playing. I don't know if we're doing weekly episodes. We haven't decided, but like I'm in for all of it. Yep, Acolyte's like my jam. Yep, count me in.
I'm ready. I think the Acolyte has potential to be way better than this movie, and it should be because they have a lot of time. Like they've had a lot of time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, to get it right. So we have, what did you say, Sin? A 7.5?
No, 7.
Okay, 7. We have a 7, a 7, a 9, a 9.5, and a 9. And here's the thing. I think it's most interesting that the 9s are coming from the people who are these are their Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
These are like, I own these movies because I was around for them, but they're like not
Yeah.
my joints. These joints did not make up my childhood. I watched the Ewok Adventure on TV. Like the first go around. Like
I
I'm
tried
in there.
watching
Right?
that show.
I'm in there. I watched the
That was our
Ewok
bag.
cartoon on Saturday mornings. Like
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? Like I'm in there, bro. Like Wicked was my guy. You know what I'm saying? So like, I do think it's interesting, and I think it makes a lot of sense because there is a lot of back and forth about whether or not the prequels are actually good. Are they really as bad as people say they are, and whatever? The truth of the matter is, yes, they are. However, it depends on what generation you come from, and I honestly believe there are people who like Rey is an incredible female representation of a Jedi on screen. It's a big deal, and for a lot of people it is their introduction. There are kids who go to Disney now and can actually go to a place that looks like Star Wars and they see those characters, and those are their characters. We can talk as bad about them as we want. It's like me talking bad about Beast Wars the jokes. It's like it doesn't matter what you say, jokes, it will never be good to me. It ain't happening. But I get it. You know what I'm saying? And I think there's a respect though that has come up for what these movies are, because a lot of the bad rap they were getting was coming from people who were like, this ain't better than Return of the Jedi. It's no Empire Strikes Back. Like
the way you put it is so correct. It's just crazy looking at it that way. Like, yes, like growing up, like Rey, Poe, like all them, these are your characters that you all champion and love. These are the ones you see walking around Galaxy's Edge. You know what I mean?
Correct.
But that's not for us. Like, we're like, wait, where's Han at? Where's, you know what I'm saying? Where's Luke? Where's Leia?
Bro, because I'll keep it a buck for you. If you go back, right, Luke Skywalker is the worst Jedi. Like he just looks like trash now. Like if you go back and you try to watch those movies, it's like, yo,
hey, my man couldn't get the proper training.
Only thing was cool about him was the black outfit he had on Return of the Jedi. Like, oh, he showed up in all black.
Hey, look.
Hey, bro. And for real, it's only because of the hand. It was only because of the hand.
Still need a haircut, bro. Yeah. Still need
like
the hair cuttery. Get that trimmed up.
You know, it's different. Yoda never stopped being cool because we never really got to see Yoda in action until these movies.
Right.
So like Yoda was always just like the old wise dope, you know what I mean? Mike says, I think with the newer trilogy, they were bigger issues and it came down to the change of storytellers for the film. To some extent.
That was definitely.
I mean, I don't look. George was super invested in this movie. This is his story. This was him doing it. This is all him. But this movie also fell into the same pocket of people who were already angry that he had gone back and redone the special effects in the first movie. Right? They're mad because now it's got CG in those movies. We don't want that. It doesn't look right. Why are you adding things and taking things and change? Like even this movie, again, in the original version, when you watch this movie in the theater, Yoda was a puppet. Frank Oz was on set puppeting Yoda. And they were showing him video of Sebulba, and he literally said to them, You don't need me anymore. And then they took him out.
Yeah, they
they
straight
took
up
him
did.
out.
Attack of the Clones. Like,
Also,
oh,
at the
So,
very
yes.
end, they didn't have that like parade and stuff like that at the very end the first time in the theater. Nope.
Right.
Yeah.
They
Yep.
changed it, right? So even since then, the version of the movies that people saw, originally enjoyed, and fell in love with, you almost can't get them at all anymore. So when you have people that are already angry about what the special effects look like and putting in fake animals and blah blah blah, then you do this, and there's a lot of that, right? Because they can do it. So Jabba the Hutt in this joint, he's a pile of mud, bro. He is a pile of mud. I don't know if y'all ever seen Weird Science, but
Yeah.
my man Chet basically gets turned into a pilot, which looks just like Jabba the Hutt in that joint. That's what he looked like in this movie. So like people are not happy with it. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of like pushback about special effects and CG and all that kind of stuff that I also think just kind of wears on this movie. The whole trilogy, but specifically on this movie. And I honestly think that like the best part of that is the pod racing, because it's all just like, it sounds so good, bro. Like John Williams, the soundtrack to this movie, the score of this film,
crazy.
And Star Wars movies are some of the only films that literally have music the entire film. The whole film, there's background music playing the whole time. It's like technically never actually quiet. And it's kind of incredible. I think that
it's the timing of some of the songs too, of where it is in the film. A lot of sometimes because I remember I watched some behind the scenes that they don't play like the original Luke's music until like Anakin is like flying the pilot and he blows up the ship. The timing of that and that excitement and everything just brings everything kind of like together in the film.
Yeah, I mean, again, they do a lot of really good things to establish some stuff. Again, R2's great. 3PO's great. Naked 3PO is great.
You get no coverings.
All right, look. That's been your Loading Stacks Movie Club discussion for Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Keep your eyes peeled to our Instagram and to the Facebook group for Movie Club to find out what next month's movie is. I'm just going to smile about it. That's all.
Oh, Lord.
That's all.
Oh, boy.
I know. We have to ask questions once we end this.
No, you don't.
See if we get some information. See if we get some insight.
I want to show some appreciation to everybody for hanging out with us, for chatting. Frosty for picking this movie. For myself, for Sam, for Jokes, for Coop, and for Frosty. We're out. Toodles and lose.
Loading Snacks